Hello and welcome, Mac. Thank you for joining us today.
Of course, thank you for having me.
You have been a street photographer based out of Helsinki going on for a decade now, and originally from New Zealand. You've shot everything from weddings and products to touring musicians.
hmm
But it sounds as though you're about to embark on your most important project yet in 2026.
Yes.
So, first of all, let's start with your roots. How did growing up around graffiti, skateboarding, and visual arts shape the way you see the world today through your camera?
I think mostly it just allowed me to be comfortable with being a little strange in public. Certainly something that might be a bother to other people doing things like skateboarding and graffiti. I mean, graffiti for sure. Um, and I think also street photography, if it's misunderstood. Uh, Also, it's a way of looking at the city. Street photographers look at the city in a different way. That's kind of the whole purpose. In the same way that graffiti artists will look at a wall differently to skateboarders who will look at a stair set differently. I think it just sort of trains your eye in a way, and I'm a firm believer of cross learning, and I think there's a lot to be had there. So, yeah, I think being used to being a delinquent or somewhat of a nuisance in public, but with totally good intentions as well.
Helsinki has a unique rhythm. What draws you specifically to its streets, and what do you think people often misunderstand about the city's character?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm particularly drawn to the streets of Helsinki. It's just what I have. If you don't shoot street photography or if you don't live in Finland, I can assure you that most of the time quiet streets are not in your favor, and Helsinki is a very quiet city. Uh, I think probably that's what's most misunderstood about it. If anybody's seen my work and they consider that some of my photos are decent, they probably think that that's easy enough for me to get, or their talent can make that happen. And it's just not the case. It's just really about spending so much time on the street, and more so when it's that quiet. And then, of course, if those moments do present themselves, which are rare, then you also need to be prepared, with your equipment and everything when it happens.
Street photography can be spontaneous or intentional. How much of your work is planned versus instinctive?
Oh, definitely instinctive. I mean, planning street photography is a bit of an oxymoron, I think. Maybe that makes you a different type of photographer at that point. But for me, it just takes out the challenge. And if the challenge is gone, then the fun is gone. And I really do like the idea that I was just able to capture a moment that was there when I was there. And as I say, I was prepared to capture it. If you start planning it, I don't know. I feel like it would be tricking people too much to be able to go out and do that and present it as street photography.
You've traveled quite a bit. How does shooting in Helsinki compare to photographing in other countries or cities you've explored?
Well, as I say, I think it's a lot quieter. But on top of that, I think people protect their image a lot. I don't know if it's a little bit of insecurity or that people feel like they might get taken advantage of, or they're a bit wary of things like technology and where their image might get posted. There are other countries that I've photographed in where people don't seem to mind as much having their photograph taken, and even to an extent of potentially understanding it. If they have a history of understanding the arts, and places like France, where I think like street photography, at least, and fine arts and all those things have a very long history. I think people are a little bit more lenient and understanding to to understand, what you might be trying to do, and that certainly makes life easier and a little less uncomfortable.
Your influences span very raw subcultures. In what ways do graffiti and tattooing still show up in your photography, either visually or philosophically?
Well, yeah, I'd definitely say that there's sort of a rawness and aggressiveness that comes with all of those things. Otherwise, I think there's like a weird spot ownership that happens, even in street photography. But obviously, with tattooing, it's quite literal. But with things like skateboarding too, uh, if a skateboarder finds a 10 steer and ollies it, and they're the first one to sort of have that on film or whatever, they kind of own that spot. And if someone else then comes along and kick flips that 10 steer, they also have a part ownership too, because that trick is more difficult, let's say. And I think street photography kind of has the same, whereas, I wouldn't go to a spot knowing that someone has a really great photo there and try to be second best. And at the same time, if they went there first and they made this great image there, I would always sort of recognize that they kind of owned that spot. So I don't know if that translates very well, but it's something that I carry in my head, that's for sure. And that directly relates from graffiti and skateboarding. Graffiti obviously has it, again, in a very literal sense, where if you have the biggest and best piece in the most visible spot of the wall, then it's kind of yours, So people within those subcultures at least should be very aware of spot ownership. And I think, for me at least, I carry that into street photography.
Street photography often involves capturing strangers. How do you navigate the social and ethical side of photographing people you don't know?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's something that everybody's going to struggle with personally, and also as a whole. You're always pushing personal boundaries and going back on them and learning new things and reading new things and developing new feelings on what the ethics are. Also, in a legal sense, you're always operating in somewhat of a gray area. I think my way around it is just to approach everything with an outward positivity. And of course, it's never my intention to ruin somebody's day. So if anybody ever had a problem with what I captured or published, I've got no problem deleting it, of course. And I mean, you can't expect everybody to understand or care about street photography as you go. So yeah, I mean, try to do everything with a smile on your face and share people in a positive light and those sort of things, or at least do it with good intentions. And I think 99% of the time you're going to be just fine.
Many photographers talk about the decisive moment. What does that concept mean to you personally?
Yeah, I'm not so sure that the decisive moment even applies to most people, since everybody's shooting digital these days. I mean, certainly on film, it does, because it's literally going to cost you every time. If you're shooting digital, you should just be photographing everything and trying to be aware of what your decisive moments are, but also not so strict. And like I say, it doesn't cost you anything. I think more people could be a bit more attentive to what they choose to publish. And I think that is a more decisive moment for us in how we represent ourselves as photographers. So photograph everything, don't publish everything. And yeah, I think people could be a little bit more critical there. I certainly try to be as well. And yeah, I consider that a bit more of a decisive moment for myself these days.
Some photographers chase beauty, others chase truth. What do you think you're chasing, and why?
Well, okay, yeah, I mean, I would like to think that they're the same thing, but I know that there are people who sort of only chase the beauty on the streets. It certainly gets you more attention. People don't necessarily like to be confronted, and having time to think is a commodity at this point. So doing anything past that is not going to get you easy success. But I mean, I have a worry that curating what is beautiful and what's not when it comes to street photography, I think can get you in weirder, negative ethical realms than what we just previously discussed. Is when you start deciding what's beautiful and what's not. I think most likely you're sticking to a Western standard of beauty and the way that you represent the street being one particular way and completely ignoring other parts of society. I think it's pretty strange. I try to avoid that. Otherwise, yeah, truth, I suppose, is if I had to choose out of the two, I would hope that they were one and the same.
Helsinki is known for its quietness and minimalism. How do you find stories or emotion in spaces that might appear understated at first glance?
I mean, that's something that I've struggled with from day one and still struggle with now. And it's what's led me up to my new project in 2026, where I will travel the country photographing the people of Finland, because I've just keep hitting this wall where I feel a little undersatisfied with what I'm doing, that I am out on the street, I'm photographing people, and often I will have small chats with people, but I never really feel like I'm getting the full story, and I think I was lacking that in my sense of fulfillment. And I would like to dive deeper, I'd like to learn more. So yeah, that's a big part of the reason why I'm going out there to chase a deeper story, because I was really struggling to find it on the streets. Because I don't think, through that approach, I don't think you can find it. So what better to do than come up with a solution?
You're about to start a project traveling across Finland. What sparked that idea, and what are you hoping to discover about the country and about yourself?
Well, I mean, I've been in Finland for over 10 years now. I'm not sure if there's on these basic levels, much more to discover. I know, of course, there's individual stories and there's places that I haven't been to. But as a whole, I think I have got a reasonable understanding of the country. But I think more importantly, I'm getting outside of my bubble. You know, we all live in this bubble, we're all busy, and then we have our own time, and then we have our social time with probably a handful of close friends. But I think it's easy to lose touch that other people exist and other thoughts exist and, you know, other philosophies and ways of living in different places. And so I think what I'm most looking forward to and hoping to rekindle is more attachment to humanity in a time where it's easier and easier to feel lonely and alienated and separated from one another, you know, due to all things technology and society that, you know, I think that everybody's probably well aware of and struggling with at this time.
Meeting strangers on the road can be unpredictable. What excites you most about photographing people outside the capital?
Outside of the capital, I mean, it's the same everywhere. Like everybody comments about the capital city and every country that the people are different, they're more rude, they're too busy, whatever it might be. And I don't know if Finland's really any different. I don't think it's as exaggerated as somewhere like New York City versus New York State. But there is a difference, and call it what you will. I grew up in the countryside also, so I'm just excited to get back out there. I really like being on the road. I like being out of the city. And of course, I'll be visiting smaller cities and villages and stuff like that. But I also have an affinity for working class people and their stories, because obviously they don't get told as often. You know, I'll be photographing a wide range of people, not just the working class, of course. But yeah, I mean, I like the opportunity. I like to take the opportunity to tell the stories of people who don't often get the chance. And if they're willing to share it with me, then I think it's a really cool collaboration that might not happen otherwise.
Your work has a raw, candid feel. How do you balance authenticity with artistic intention when composing an image?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's another hard one. I don't know if you can realistically. If you have a really strong artistic intention, I think you're going to sort of miss out on something that's honest about you. Your intuition goes out the window. So I try not to focus on artistic intention too much. Again, if I was a painter, maybe. If I was a musician, maybe. But with street photography, you know, it's more like improv. I think you just have to roll with what it is on the day. You know, I really try my best to enter a flow state as fast as possible when I'm out shooting and just go with that. And then, like I said, I think the artistic intention probably comes a bit more when it comes to publishing time and what you choose to publish. You know, you're always going to run into these weird things where it's like the same struggles as everybody else who has to, you know, publish anything. But it's am I publishing this because it's, you know, pure to my soul, or is it because of external factors that make me like this thing? I'll struggle with that till the end of days. But I do my best to try to just keep on topic, I suppose, and publish what feels right rather than what will get me attention online or likes on social media or whatever.
Travel often changes us. Has your perspective on people or cultures shifted because of the places you photographed?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't know if it's due to photography. I think, you know, my growth of understanding of people with different cultures just comes from travel in general. I don't think you need to travel with a camera to get that sort of understanding. So I would encourage anybody to travel and learn different things about different cultures. I think it always gives a greater understanding of people, and even when those people become tourists in your home country, you know, you have a bit more of understanding why they might do things different. And it's only a positive thing. They're definitely something that everybody should do.
Let's go deeper. Do you think your interest in documenting real, unposed moments is tied to something personal? Maybe a desire to understand people, or to be understood yourself?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I have a reasonable understanding of myself at this point. I've done a lot of work for that, and I'm getting older. I've had some time. to understand people also. I don't know. I mean, I've always been, especially for an introverted person, pretty active socially. I've worked in busy places and met a lot of people. And again, I think it's really about keeping in mind the different types of lives and cultures and opinions and stuff that people might have. Sort of repeating myself, but it really is about that. It's just, keeping a tether to society and not being too stuck in my own bubble, and reminding myself that these are all very real people too. One of the things, for example, that I experienced with some success on posting things online is that these numbers get crazy. Something gets viewed or whatever, liked 250,000 times, and I don't think the human brain, or at least our current brain, doesn't really know how to understand that. And it's hard to conceptualize all of those as real people and the people who are commenting and everything. So this was another solution to that, was to step away from just reading those comments and looking at those numbers and actually go and meet those people. So there's a very literal, direct connection to how I was feeling and what I'm going to do about it.
Every artist has a long-term arc. Where do you see your photography evolving in the next few years?
Well, as far as on a technical level, I mean, I think I'm going to grow as a photographer, because I'm going to be photographing a lot in 2026. Basically, every place that I enter is going to be a first for me, and a place that I don't really know what the lighting conditions are going to be like, and what the location is going to be like, or what the people are going to be like. So there's going to be a lot of fresh things to consider on the day. And I think my preparedness going forward is only going to grow. My understanding of my gear. As far as the project goes, I would just like to expand it internationally after this year. I'm going to be traveling Finland and meeting people in 2026, and I would just like to take that further and go outside of Finland at some point too. Otherwise, if you're out there doing, then you're growing. So I certainly will be making a bunch of progress as I go. I know it.
And finally, your legacy. If someone looked at your body of work decades from now, what do you hope they understand about you and the world you lived in?
Well, I'm not sure if I necessarily have a need for anybody to understand me. I would hope that people could see that I tried. I think that's one of the biggest things. And specifically that I tried to contribute something, whether that to be to society or to photography as an art form. I know those are very grandiose goals, but I think why not reach for the stars? Otherwise, I would just hope, that somebody's inspired somewhere. If it's just one person who is able to view my work by the end, and that inspires them to go out and create or do something positive in there to build community or have communication or create something positive, then I think my job is done. I would definitely be fulfilled as I'm slowly turning in my grave.
All right. Thank you for your time today, Mac.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you very much.
I wish you all the best for your upcoming project in 2026.
Thank you very much.
Oh, and if you enjoyed this interview, don't forget to like and subscribe.